Thank you all for coming tonight. It's my intention that this will be under an hour, but this can be interactive. So if you have a question or a comment, if you want to say something, you can use the reaction button at the bottom. Mine looks like a heart and it says react underneath it. You can raise your hand that way. You can like do one of these. Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. It used to just show up like right here. So I'm just going to get right into it. We are here because I want to share, yes, like the fun, the highs, the lows of our trip to Italy. But there's some meaning behind it. There's things that I want to teach you and things that I want to point out within the story. So we booked a trip, manifested it at the, I guess I didn't plan on starting here. And you know what, you guys, I have a limiting belief that says I'm not a good storyteller. I got a little ADD. I can be all over the place. So we're just gonna, this is why this is informal and free. So I set an intention for 2024. It was around the end of last year, beginning of this year, that I would go to back to Europe this year. And then throughout the year, I worked with this client and she was a travel agent. And she told me that every year on her birthday, she goes to Italy and to Paris. I'm like, I love those cities. I've been there. She goes to Italy and Paris just to stock up on snacks and skincare. And I was like, you can do that? Like, sign me up. Yes, I already wanted to go, but I'm going to go around my birthday and I'm going to stock up on snacks and skincare. So I had the intention at the for my 2024, but then with all intentions, sometimes we get more clarity as life unfolds for us. So, but we got to start somewhere, right? We got to like ask for what we want, and then we can always get more clear about it and ask for the specifics later down the road, which is exactly what I did. And I actually had to brush up, kind of confront some limiting beliefs about not being with my family on my birthday. Like my parent, like we always do a family dinner, and I would be not here for that. And my parents are aging, as so am I. Like, hello, it's my birthday. We're all aging. But I just had like this incredible guilt in this story that was like, I have to stay here so I can like have dinner with my parents. Travis helped me overcome it. I had to remember a time where my dad went on a cruise on his birthday when I was like 12. Like, it's not really the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth that we all do our birthdays together. And like, am I really going to not go on like this really awesome trip to Italy and Paris just to have dinner with my parents on my birthday? Like, not that that's not a great thing, but I kind of like been there and done that. And we had lunch together yesterday. There have been times where we had to reschedule. Actually, I don't know, for somebody else's birthday, but we've always done it on my birthday. And I'm like the youngest in the family. And I don't know, it was just like a whole thing. Like, I did lots of energy work around that. I even asked both of my parents, not really their permission, but more for their blessing of like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Like, how would you feel about that? Would it hurt your feelings? And they were like, no, go. We can celebrate your birthday when you get back. And I'm like, I've been torturing myself over this and it was never even a problem for you. So I guess that's lesson one. Sometimes we make these things a big deal. And if we would just communicate it with the other people involved, sometimes they're like, no, it's okay. And then I had to believe that they weren't, saying that's okay, but really they were going to be like mad about it. And they weren't. I had a lovely birthday celebration with them yesterday, October 7th. So that's the beginning of the story. Now, what you need to know before I tell the rest of the story of like actually getting there and the events that unfolded while we were there, you need to know two universal laws. Like, I want you to know them and understand them. And actually, every single one of you has been in Worthy and Wealthy. So this is just going to be review for those who are here live. And the people on the replay, you get to learn something new tonight. So the first universal law, and a universal law applies to everyone equally, all across the planet, just like gravity, right? So gravity, if everybody does this with a pen, it affects them all the same way. We're all treated the same when it comes to the universal laws. So the universal law of mirrors in the Worthy and Wealthy course, it's also called the law of correspondence. It basically means that your outer world, what shows up in your reality, is a reflection of what's actually going on inside. So when people are treating us badly outside, you're doing that to yourself in one of 8 areas of life. It might not be about your body or your looks, which is what I think most people go to. It could be how good of a parent you are. It could be how well you're doing at work. Are you beating yourself or being hard on yourself about work, about family, like I was doing with, wanting to leave town on my birthday? With our social circles, there's these different 8 areas of life, and I'm not going to get into all of them, but beating ourselves up and being hard on ourselves does not just apply to how we look. So that's the law of mirrors. And actually, I just attract a certain type of woman. They're all good-hearted women, all spiritual. And I used to think I wanted to work with like people who wanted to learn manifestation because like they had never heard of it. And that just like wasn't what I was getting. It's all people who you already believe in it, but maybe you want to understand how to do it consciously. It is not the new person who like I need to convince them that manifestation is real. It's more like you already know this in your soul and in your heart and intuitively, and I am somehow this permission slip to let you like embrace it. Or I'd like to be that. Maybe I'm not like a permission slip, but the more you know somebody who's like doing the same things and thinking the same things as you, it's like a permission slip, right? I know each one of you have grown in certain ways, and as you do it, the other people, like just like that girl who was a client who she gave me a permission slip that I could go to Italy and Paris on my birthday just to stock up on snacks and skincare, and of course do some other things. So my point with that though is that every one of you, I've already muscle tested this and like made sure that I was correct about this before we started. You have lived so many lifetimes. You've mastered a lot. You're different than people who have not lived as many lives, who are lower consciousness. And it's not that we are better than them or that they're worse than us. They just don't have as much life experience. And by life experience, I mean like lifetimes of experience. So everyone here has a soul frequency of at least 400 or higher. The scale goes from 0 to 1,000. And again, we're not like better than people with like maybe a 150 or a 200. It's kind of like being a senior in college and being a second grader. The second grader is just as valuable and worthy as the senior in college. They just haven't gone through as many grades. They haven't graduated as many levels to be there. Okay. So I just want you all to know that you're some high frequency women in here. And when it comes to us being high frequency women, the world and the universe responds to us a little bit differently than it does, the second graders. So please show me with reactions. Have you ever had the experience or the thought of like, I treat people so well, I show up for them, why are they not showing up for me? Or in the financial area, I give so much, I donate, but why do I not have enough? I do this thing, I put this out, I treat the outer world in this certain way, and it's not responding back to me in the way that I'm communicating and living with it. So just any reaction, if you're like, yeah, I have, and I'm like curious about why that is. Okay. I'll tell you why. I've just learned this in the last month or so, and it is like, open up my whole world. It's changed the game. Okay. And I want to change the game for you too. For us, the world, the universe, our reality, the people in it respond not to how we treat them, but how we're treating ourselves. Law of mirrors. Our inner world projects a reflection onto the outer world. So, what we're observing from other people, from money, from our careers, from our friends, is a reflection of how we've been treating ourselves. So, if people are being hard on you, where are you being hard on yourself? If you feel like the universe or a job or an ex or a somebody is withholding from you with love, with money, with attention, where are you withholding from yourself those exact things? And I'm telling you, I just started working on this, like really committing to it about 6 days before I left. I was learning a lot, consuming the information. And it's like, I've got to like put this into practice. And so I did. I remember it. It was the Thursday before I left, and I left on a Wednesday. But by the time I had left, 7 days later, 6 days, whatever, seven, things were already shifting for me. So, outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Then the second law you need to know is the law of balance. Now, not everybody will get this, but you all will because you're high frequency women. The law of balance means that everything is equal parts good and bad. Nothing is all good and nothing is all bad. So, just like what's going on now with all the hurricanes coming to Florida, most people would be like, that's bad and only bad. You cannot tell me that that is good. And I get that. Like, it's devastating. But there are also good things happening. Look at how people are showing up, like, to help each other. I don't hate to say it, it's just the truth. My husband's a lineman. When natural disasters like that happen and he gets called to go down there and help, it is a payday for him or his buddy. Like he just had a guy got called to go down to Kentucky, and he was there for the last 2 weeks or maybe 10 days. I don't know, getting paid 24/7 from the moment he took the call to the moment he just got home 20 minutes ago. So that is a payday for that family. And we're not wishing for hurricanes and devastation for people, but if it's going to happen, thank God we have people who are knowledgeable enough to like go down there and help, who are willing to do that and leave their families, but it's a payday for them, right? So it's not all bad. I hope you can wrap your minds around that. I hope I didn't choose like too painful of an example. I know some of you have family in Florida right now. Also, the people who are fleeing, like maybe they're going to stay with family up north and then they get to like reconnect, and they wouldn't have done that had there not been the hurricane. So anyway, point is everything is equal parts good and bad. So I need to get my other notes out here. Okay, we did that. We did this. Okay. So I also need to tell you a couple of my core beliefs. And it's like, I don't know, or if I just, to me, this is just obvious and a fact, but that's how beliefs work. It can be obvious and a fact that like I'm broke, but that's really just a belief, right? So everything is a belief. Everything is completely made up, as I will get into more as I tell the story. So a core belief of mine is that everything is always working out. For me, I believe this, but I believe it for you too. And sometimes it's always working out, even if we don't recognize it. For example, have you ever been driving down the freeway and you saw like a terrible car crash or like the remnants of a car crash? Police and ambulances haven't been there yet. And you think, oh my gosh, if I had left 2 minutes earlier or 30 seconds earlier, I could have been involved in that. Has anybody ever like had that experience? But like I misplaced my keys and I had to go looking for them. And had I found my keys and had been smooth sailing right out of my garage, that could have been me. Right? Yeah. So everything's working out for us, even if we don't recognize it. Sometimes we leave and we're past the exit and there's a wreck happening behind us and we are completely oblivious to that. How would we know what's going on behind us when we're driving on the freeway? So I just have had enough experiences and I want to say like validation, but I don't think that's the right word. But enough experiences where it's like, wow, I really know and I get that everything's always working out, and I can really see the good and the bad in a way that definitely my husband cannot, which is going to be part of the story. It's not that he can't, he just, it's not his natural default. I kind of have to like coach him through it and pull it out of him, and he doesn't always love it because he loves it when I can just be negative. He really does. Okay, so everything's working out for us. Oh, good. Okay, that's everything you need to know before I tell the story. So we have a plane to Atlanta, a plane to Paris, and a plane to Naples, and then a drive to Sorrento. So the flights were supposed to be 20 hours of travel, so 21 with the car ride to Sorrento. We got there in 30 hours, which is a lot. Okay. It's a long time, especially when I was only mentally prepared for 20. When we got to Atlanta, we were noticing that we had like a 9 hour layover in Paris, and it was only supposed to be 2 hours. And we were actually concerned because our Atlanta to Paris flight was late. So we're worried, if this flight's late, is that going to throw off the Paris flight? And what if we miss that and we're like stuck at the airport? Well, I'd kind of rather be stuck there because I'm waiting for a plane than because I lost a plane. By the way, thank God, I had just watched the new Emily in Paris, and I didn't realize that the Air France business class lounge was like très chic. And seriously, because of that show, like we had been there before and flown business class, but I never thought to go to their first class lounge. It just, like, I'm new at this, right? So that was like really aligned. So, anyways, I'm aware. I'm like, okay, that's cool. We'll just get to spend 9 hours at the first class lounge, which I must say that choosing to fly that way than economy completely saved us, was more than worth the money, because there's like, I took a shower. There's like, I had a full on like bathroom the size of my bathroom here in my house. There's like relaxation rooms, food. It was just very much more comfortable than like sitting in the chairs with, the regular people. I'm just kidding. So we're kind of off to a bad start. My husband's like annoyed, and I'm just like, this is so great. Like Emily in Paris, I'm living just like Emily. And he's like, oh my God, here we go with your positivity. So that was all fine. So we make it to Sorrento. We get our luggage. We meet the driver. Ciao, how are you? How was your flight? It was great. Took us a little long, but we're just so happy to be here. And I, for some reason, I'm like walking side by side with him, and my husband's like behind with most of the bags. I have a bag with me. And the driver says to me, are you pregnant? And I was like, no, I'm not. Yeah. It caught me off guard. But I actually did laugh, and I was nice to him about it. And there's been one other, so this has happened to me 3 times in my whole life, twice on this trip, one time before the pandemic. If you saw my stories yesterday, but I told the story, but I'm going to tell it quickly again for the people who didn't see it. It's happened to me 3 times in my life, twice on this trip, one time pre-pandemic when I weighed a lot less than I do now. And I was pissed. I was insulted. I was mad. I was giving this woman, she was sitting in a massage chair. I was at Costco doing like those road shows, selling massage chairs. She asked me when I was due. I was like, I'm not pregnant, or I think that's how it went down. And casually, 20 seconds later, I ended her 20 or 10-minute massage very early. Like, I'm just like, get the F out of here. Like, I was mad. This time when he did it, I had been doing the self-image work and like really pouring validation and acceptance. And this isn't really about self-love as much as it is about self-image work. And I don't know, maybe it was the Italian accent, maybe it's being in another country, maybe it's the self-image work, but I just was like, oh no, I'm not. My husband's like, what did he ask you? And I was like, oh, he just asked me if I was pregnant. out loud. I'm not like hiding it, like, yes, if I was pregnant. I didn't do that. Like, you asked me out loud. I'm going to tell my husband what you had asked me out loud. Like, it's all fine. We're not hiding these things. And my husband's like, doesn't he know you're not supposed to ask women that? And I said, I don't know, maybe not, or maybe it's different here, whatever. We got through that. We had a nice drive. I saw the full moon, the huge full super moon coming up over the ocean while we were on the way. It was like amazing, right? I wasn't mad or carrying this grudge. But the next day, oh, it was like, it was just bugging me. I wouldn't say I was seething, but it was like, I hired this trainer months ago. I'm like, really, I've already dropped some pounds. You should have seen me before I started working out with my trainer. If you think that this looks pregnant, I'm like, why, what is this happening? What does this mean? And then I'm like, what do you do about this? You got to use your tools, Gina. Make a new meaning. We've made up that, I mean, it's not really a compliment, but we can take it as an insult. We can take it as a compliment. And Leslie gave me the best reframe that I didn't even think of that. I just thought, how can I make a positive meaning out of this? Well, the positive meaning, I'm really searching. I'm just like trying to find anything better than looking pregnant when you're not. It's better. What I came up with is it's better to look pregnant. That must mean that the rest of my body looks, normal. And I just have this like cute pregnant belly. And that's better than just looking so fat that they don't question if you're pregnant. They just know you're like overweight. Right. So I kind of hope that that's making you laugh a little bit. That was like the best I could come up with. What Leslie came up with, this is like, I wish I had thought of this. She said, what hit her intuition was that you were glowing so much like someone who's birthing new life or creating new life. Like, how pregnant women glow. And I totally was glowing. I mean, part of that was sweat from all the travel, but I was so happy to be there. Like, I am lit up when I'm traveling, and especially to like, my homeland, Italy. So we have not even left the airport. We've had this like long ass thing. I get asked if I'm pregnant, like trips off to a great start, right? So we get to our hotel, and I forgot to ask, we had this deal that I was going to ask every hotel if they had upgraded rooms for like, a good price that we could, but we were so tired. I didn't even think to ask. We get to the room and it's like more than good enough. There's plenty of space. It's not like a little tuna can as they can be in Europe sometimes. And so we're just tired. I don't even eat. We eat nothing. We had not eaten anything since Atlanta, but it was late and it was just like annoyed. Yeah, we were annoyed and just like tired and ready for bed. So I'm like, okay, that's good. My trainer will love that I'm like intermittent fasting, even though I did not plan to do that while I'm in Italy. So the next day, we go to our favorite restaurant. The reason why we went to Sorrento was to eat at this restaurant that we ate at on our honeymoon. I know that sounds a little crazy. And we also wanted to go to the Amalfi Coast and see it by boat. And I think we were both kind of like, once we've done these things again, like we don't need to come back. And we're foodies. I've literally flown to LA to eat at my favorite Mexican restaurant. And it's not a nice Mexican restaurant. It's just like a regular Mexican restaurant. Of course, we build a trip around it. So we eat it as is what it's called. AZZ as. Highly recommend it, but well, I end up getting sick. And what I saw was as. So I don't know if I'll be eating there again. So anyway, we have a nice day, and then we found this spa to go to. And it's not like a massage kind of spa. They didn't have massage openings, but they have like hot plunge, cold plunge, a sauna room, a relaxation room, an emotional shower, a Turkish bath. Like they just have all these little like wellness stations. And I'm like, sign me up. This is so great. I want to sweat and detox and do cryotherapy and all the things. And it was my goal to drink water because they had like a water dispenser at every station. And I did that, and I got way more sick than my husband did. And he thinks it's from the water because the sickness happened like 8 or 9 hours after we had eaten. We had lunch and then no dinner. Like, who goes to Italy and eats this little? Well, we do. But that was not the intention. So we're back at the hotel an hour after we've done the spa. And I'm like, I don't feel good. And he was like, I don't feel that good either. We both had like the worst headaches of our lives. He said he was almost in tears and it wasn't like pounding, it was like swelling. Like my brain was like bigger than my skull. And we were just like taken out. So we didn't have any dinner. I get up, I'm throwing up. Sorry for the visual. So that happens twice. And part of me is like, why? And oh my gosh, I hope I'm not getting COVID, but COVID doesn't really make you vomit. So I've just trained my brain to go to the positive. I'm like, this is so great, right? Like I'm already trying, I'm on like a weight loss journey. I'm definitely going to fit into my birthday dress. I wanted to like lose weight. So I'm fine with this. I also had this like it's just intuition. I guess you guys will get it. That I really need to speed the story up because we're at like 30 or no, I guess it's only yeah, we're at almost 30 minutes and I'm only in Sorrento. Bear with me. I'm sorry. Is this getting boring or are we good? Give me like some reaction if we're good and do absolutely nothing if you're like get the fuck on with it. So I had thank you. I had this intuition that I've just be okay. I love you guys. I had just been attuned to Reiki Master. So I'm a Reiki Master now. I still have to take my test. So I'm not really officially allowed to call myself that yet, but I've had the attunement. I know my stuff. I'm going to pass my test this Thursday. So when you get a Reiki attunement, your body goes, your chakras cleanse themselves. Your body goes through this purification process. And on my day 2 of being attuned to Reiki Master, I got really sick. All I ate that day was some saltines, is like all I could do. And same thing. And I don't like vomit that much, but it's happened to me a couple times this year. So as I'm getting sick in Sorrento, I'm remembering how that happened after my Reiki attunement just maybe 8 weeks ago. So I'm like, oh, my body's purifying itself because I've been thinking that for some reason I'm meant to do Reiki in Italy, but like on the land. And more specifically, like, so I'm muscle testing, I'm asking God, source, like, where do I go and what do I do? And it's like the Vatican. And I'm like, okay, so this didn't seem that weird until I actually was doing it in Rome. And I'm like low key, like thinking someone's going to come out and be like, witch, get her. I'm like definitely watching my back, but we'll get to that when I get to Rome. So anyway, I know that I'm going to do this. I know how the body purifies itself. And I'm like, oh, it's like getting something out of me so that I can be at that perfect frequency, that perfect vibe, that perfect like healer that I need to be when I'm in Rome. So that's pretty much what happened there. Also, that day before I got sick, when we were out, before we went to the spa, no, it was on the way home from the spa, I said I wanted to see the Amalfi Coast from a boat. And we had checked at this, tour place that did boats. We wanted a private boat ride. And it was like this, literally like a blow up boat. I mean, it was substantial, but like it was a blow up boat. It was started at like 400 plus captain plus tip plus gas. So it could have very easily been like a little over $600, which we didn't go there to save money or live on a budget. Like we went there to live it up. We were prepared to spend $600 to $800 is about the where I value that, but not for a dinghy, right? This boat was like, no. And also, I don't want to do this. It takes 2 hours to get there, 2 hours to get back. I really don't want to be on the land that much because we did that last time and it was like a night, like just a tourist trap. So I'm not feeling it. So we're looking at the higher level boats and they go up to like 1,200 plus captain, plus gap, plus tip, which no, you don't have to tip, but like we're going to. So I was just like, I'm just not feeling this. So we go back to the hotel, then all the sickness happens. Remember the ADD? I'm going to be like jumping around a lot. Consider this like Pulp Fiction. So the next day, as I'm dehydrated, all I had for breakfast was pineapple. That's all I had all day. We were like, wow, I'm so glad that we didn't sign up for like the we're ballers boat because we would have lost that money. We would have lost the like 12 to 1500 for like the good badass boat. And even if it was like $200 for the badass boat, I don't really want to throw away $200. So everything is working out for us, even though while we were there and weren't getting the boat, it kind of seemed like a bummer. Well, more to my husband than for me, I had made peace with it. I was like, I'm not feeling it. So if I'm not feeling it, I don't like need it that much. So um that's pretty much Sorrento. I don't have much else to say about that. I was sick like the whole time, except for that. Our first day, we got there 9 hours late. So that was one day, the day where we actually did something and I got sick the next 2 days. So then that fourth day, we're headed to Rome. All right. So I'm going to check off Sorrento. We've talked about that. In Rome, I I knew I wanted a Gucci belt for absolutely forever. Well, for 5 or 6 years. And because it's the GG logo, and I just feel like that's like my, like, if Superman wears an S on his chest, I'm going to wear a GG around my waist. And I saw a girl wearing one at a party before I even knew what that logo was. And I was just like, what is that? And I knew she was really rich. And I was just like, I wanted this belt forever. And I've had a lot of business success this year, thanks to all of you. And I'm so thankful for each one of you, really. Like, I'm so glad God brought us together, but also I was ready for it. And then you guys were ready. Would you have been ready for all the work that we did 1 or 2 years ago? Probably not. Divine timing. So, anyway, I knew I was going to buy this Gucci belt. And I don't think my husband knew it or not, but he was going to buy me a purse. So, and I was going to buy myself a purse at Louis Vuitton, which is actually the story I'm supposed to be telling. So my daughter has a Louis Vuitton Speedy bag. She had a Louis Vuitton bag before I ever did. And I used to like really judge it, to be honest with you. I'm like, why do you need that? And she was like, oh, the quality. And I'm like, oh, bullshit. You're on birth control to regulate your period, right? Like, don't tell me it's the quality. And I was really judgy about the status symbol of it all. Her other side of her family is a lot more wealthy than our side of the family. So I was judgy. And I'll tell you this, when you're judgy or triggered by something that somebody has, most likely it's because you want it for yourself too. And this is something I've been brushing up on for literally decades. I had an astrologer tell me when I was in my 20s that I'm like meant for luxury and I like am supposed to be like this just luxury, whatever. And I was like, oh no, I'm not materialistic. And she was like, it's not about materialism. It's about luxury and having the best of everything and the way you treat yourself. And you might not know it now, but you are. And I'm so glad that she like didn't people please me and be like, oh, okay. Like and I never forgot that. That was almost 20 years ago. So anyway, I'm judging my stepdaughter for her bag. Secretly, I'm just jealous. And then a couple months later, we watched Private Benjamin. You guys remember that movie with Goldie Hawn? And she throws her bag on the like army cot, and it's the Louis Vuitton Speedy bag, the exact one my stepdaughter has. And I was like, oh my God, that bag is classic. Like, it's timeless. I think I want one. This was over a year ago. So I thought I was going to buy myself a Speedy bag, and I thought my husband was going to buy me this other one, but I really like don't need 4 designer purses. I already have 2. Anyway, so we go to Gucci. He gets me this really cool bag. I love it. It's classic. Like, I'll wear it forever. And I got myself the belt. Then we go over to Louis Vuitton so I can buy myself the Speedy bag. And this is where I said I would tell you how they treated me. You guys, so I've done this like luxury shopping thing before. And I highly believe in going into stores that intimidate you. I remember the first time I walked into like a White House black market and just felt like they're going to know I can't afford anything in here. And that's not really true. I could afford an $80 dress or $150 dress. This is why I tell you guys, like, don't say I can't afford it. It's not a priority for me right now. It's not aligned with me. That's okay. But like, you can afford $150 dress. You could afford probably an $800 dress, but do you really want to spend your money on it? And that's the difference. So in the past, I've been in those stores, but there was a bit of a like feeling like a fraud, feeling a bit like an imposter. But I'm like, if I get the bag, if I get the stuff, then I won't be an imposter anymore. And that really doesn't fix it. That's looking for outside validation to like fill up some void or whatever on the inside. And I was like, my nervous system was dysregulated with my first bag. That's another story time for another day. So at Louis Vuitton, the salespeople, this fabulous gay Spanish man, he was just so fun to talk to. I'm like, I want to look at the Speedy bag, which I know is like the basic bitch bag. It's the entry level. It's like the cheapest one, less expensive one. It's not cheap. It's the less expensive bag, but like it's what I like. It's what Private Benjamin had, and it's what I can feel good about paying. So he's like holding this bag hostage. And I got to see it eventually. He brings the bag. I really don't know what it is called, but it's $6,500. It's leather. It has 3 closures, but it never actually closes. Like I need something with a zipper. I'm clumsy. I barely leave my house unless it's to go like eat. The fanciest thing I do is eat dinner on the plaza. I do not need a $6,500 bag. And by the way, 6,500 in Europe is going to be like 8,000 in the States. So I was like, I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. And I was like, this is a really nice bag, but I just want to like look at this other one. And then I got another guy here, and then this girl. And I have 3 Louis Vuitton sales associates paying attention to me. And thank God I've been doing the self-image work. I'm getting really hot, so I'm going to take my shirt off. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit bad because I'm not going to buy this bag. I'm in the market for a $1,500 bag, not a $6,500 bag. And they're just saying, like, you're so chic. And I'm like, you see me that way? I'm not like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm like, thank you for seeing me that way, because I've been pouring all this like self-image work into myself, telling myself I'm special. I'm the best of the best. I'm a necessity to people's lives, and really like paying attention and clocking like how that's true. So Kristen, we're going to get into this on Friday. A couple of you we've been doing this. So the point is the reflection I'm getting, my outer world is reflecting what had been going on in my inner world. And I really didn't feel insecure. I was just like, I don't need a bag like this. And I was like, I don't want to waste your time. I'm being real. I'm keeping it real at Louis Vuitton. And they were like, just try it on. Look at just have fun. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like holding it. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, wow, this really is a nice bag. Oh, look, like, okay, I like this color. I'm trying on. They have 3 of these bags in front of me. I'm holding like 21. This is just $21,000 in bags, like right in front of me. Europe prices, probably 25 here. So, but they're telling me to have fun. I'm keeping it real. Okay. And I'm like, wow, it really is nice. And my husband's like, are you about to buy this? And I'm like, no, I just can't justify it. Okay. I can't justify it. And they're telling me how fabulous the bag is and how fabulous I am. And I like make a joke. I'm like, do you have one of these bags? And he was like, no. And I was like, I think you should get one. I think you love this bag more than I do. Like you definitely need it more than I do. So we're bantering, we're having fun, which would have never ever happened the last time I went into a store like that, right? So I'm like noticing new levels of security with me. Like I'm secure within myself. And so anyway, I'm like, can I just see the bag that I came in to look at? And they were like, oh yeah, we'll get it. And they bring it out to me. And it is like nothing. It's not worth, I go, oh, I'm like, it looks fake. Like, I didn't want to say that in the store, but they were like, yeah, you really should get this one. And I'm like, you just saved me $1,500, because after holding like the Ferrari of bags, I don't really want the like Lexus. Lexus are very nice, but I've just been holding like a Bentley. So I'm like, okay, cool. I no longer want the speedy bag. Thank you for saving me 1500. I'm very happy with the Gucci bag. And like, let's leave. My husband's like, can we please go get lunch? I'm like, I gotta feed him. Thank you so much for your time. I was gonna buy a scarf. That's a whole other thing. I didn't get the scarf. So that is how they treated me at Louis Vuitton in Rome. And I'm telling you, it is because of the self image work that I had been doing. Outer world reflects your inner world always. For us, high frequency women who have lived a lot of lifetimes, it might not work like that for, your cousin or your mom, but that's how it works for us. Okay. Second part of Rome is, if you saw my stories, I did this like the flying red dress photo shoot, which I literally almost went to Greece for. I don't even want to go to, I mean, I do. Who doesn't want to go to Greece, but not that bad. But I thought that was the only place in the world you could do this photo shoot. My first day in Rome, I see this ad on Instagram, the flying red dress, and I'm like, oh my God, like I could do it here. Thank God we didn't bend over backwards to go to Greece, because that is a even harder situation to get to, and not worth it if you don't really, really, really want it. So I didn't know if they were going to have a dress that would fit me. They had two different sizes. I asked, would they bring both sizes? And they were so nice. They were like, yeah, we'll bring both sizes. You can try them on. It doesn't matter really, but like, I'm happy to say that I fit into the smaller dress. And they were late. I was annoyed. I got up at 5:45 a.m. to be there and on time. And they were like 45 minutes late, which means I wouldn't have had to get up till 6:30. But that's fine. So it turns out they were shooting a movie in Rome, and they like had me look over the bridge, and the whole thing is like blocked off with like all these like look like a Hollywood like movie set. So instant forgiveness. They were just as frustrated as me. I don't want this to like, I don't want an annoyed photographer taking pictures of me, and I don't want to be annoyed. That's going to show up in the photos. So anyway, I wish, let me see if I can pull up the pictures. Maybe it doesn't matter. But the point is, I'm doing the red dress, the running in slow motion thing. Well, they actually do a slow motion effect. So I was kind of, you have to bounce up instead of run forward to make it look the right way. And it looks like I'm all alone just running towards the Colosseum. I am not alone. There is a very handsome man over here on the bench. There are two other, I mean, everyone in Italy is pretty handsome. Two over there, girls coming, just people everywhere. There's at least 20 people around me making this spectacle, but also they're used to it. There was a girl in a flying red dress getting done with her photo. There was two of them actually when I had just got there. So it's not like people have never seen it, but I've never done this in front of people. I used to be embarrassed enough to just like kind of try to pose, like just to try it all. I was just embarrassed to just even try. So I'm like, wow, I've really grown a lot that I can do this. And by the way, if you don't take the cool photo, if you don't do the like the pose or the putting yourself out there, making it the best you can at a place that you want to remember, you'll miss out on your memory, and nobody else will even remember you tomorrow. And even if they do, they don't like know you personally. They're not gonna like bash you on social media. Nobody's gonna know, but you will have missed out on the experience, the memory, the souvenir. So highly suggest getting comfortable with like letting people judge you. Let them. They are judging you no matter what. Well, some people are. Most people don't give an F because they're too consumed with how they're being perceived to worry about how you're being perceived. And if they're projecting like gross energy onto you, it is a projection of how they feel about themselves. It means nothing about you. So, oh, I forgot this part. How everything's working out for me. They had these 4 levels of packages. There's like the standard, the next level, and then like the premium. And the premium was unlimited locations. You got to pose with a Fiat, which is like, how Italy is that? And then like 5 or 6 hours. And I don't need to be doing this for 5 or 6 hours. So they had driven the Fiat to the photo shoot. And I was like, it's not that I have other things to do today. So I don't want, it's a bummer that you're late because I have other things to do. So they said, well, we could just do the standard package, which is less time and like one or two locations. And they were going to take me over to like the forum. And I don't care about the forum. It's just the ruins. And I said, oh, I don't want to walk over there. I said it just like that. Like, I don't want to walk all the way over there. And they were like, okay. And I go, well, can I just take a picture with the car? So we could do like the Coliseum and the car, and they're right next to each other. I was able to ask for what I wanted. This works out better for them because they don't have to spend all these hours working with me. They already drove the car there. So I think that when we're done with the Coliseum thing, we're going to like walk over to the car or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but no, we wait. He brings the car over and like makes a traffic circle where there is not one. This is usually an open street for cars and bikes and trucks to walk through. He just parks it there. And I'm like, oh my God, everybody's going to be mad. Are you like, this is what we're doing? He's like, oh yeah, it's fine. They're used to it and everybody does it. And I'm like, I've never done it. So I'm in the red dress, standing next to this like teeny tiny Fiat. It's not a 2024. This is like, looks like a toy car. And I'm like popping out of the sunroof and I'm like posing on it. And like, they have you like touch your hair and your body and like whatever. And just the fact that I could even do that at all. Again, getting over that people may or may not judge you, but you never know who you're inspiring. And I'm telling you, if I had been having the internal dialogue of, oh my God, you're so stupid. This is ridiculous. Who do you think you are? I don't think that the people would have responded to me in the same way. People were like, look, the Coliseum's right here. I'm here. They're looking at me. Obviously, the Coliseum's still going to be there. And I just did what I needed to do anyway. I'm like touching my body and it's just like, yeah, it's like a little ridiculous, but also like so fun. Anyway, people were saying to me, like, it looks good. That's cute. Good job. And I'm like, they love me. Like, they really love me. But again, this is the law of mirrors. My outer world is just reflecting what I've been giving to myself for only 6 days. So my point is that's how fast this can like really turn things around. Okay, so that's enough about Rome. Then we go to Milan. The best thing I can tell you about Milan is when we were at the airport leaving to go to Paris. So that was the only leg of the trip where we were not in business class. The way Costco does it is that if you choose like a first class, business class situation, every flight has to be like that. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm like, well, we don't need business class like for the domestic flight from here to Atlanta. And they were like, oh no, if you do business class over the ocean, they all have to be. I'm like, okay, if we have to. So for some reason, Milan to Paris was not business class, but it's like an hour and a half flight. It's fine. I'm not like that bougie yet. So what I didn't realize is that, by the way, I was getting used to the special treatment and being a priority, sky priority. So we get there, we have plenty of time, but my husband hates lines. He hates them. And it's a bummer to be with him when he's like not liking that we're in a line. So plus the line's not really moving and we only have an hour and a half and there's like a solid probably 60 people in front of us. There's like 4 to 6 people over in the sky priority. And I'm like, wow. So when you're getting your business class ticket or your first class, you are getting much more than just a bigger seat or just a lay down seat, which if you ever go on like more than a international flight, I highly recommend getting the lay down seat. You will save your trip because I already got that first class lounge, made the 9-hour layover better. Well, I didn't really think about it, but you get shorter lines. You get less stress because that's like when you start worrying that like, oh my God, we're going to miss the flight. We're going to miss the flight. So we weren't really quite there yet, but I was like just having fun with it, not attached, not needing it. Let me just try. Also, got to learn to like put yourself out there and the worst they can say is no. And then fine. No big deal. But most people, I think, wouldn't even try because of the fear of rejection and like what that means about you to like for the sky priority people to tell you no. At least that's what it would have done to me a long time ago. So this is what I did. This is part of the 7-step manifestation process. You three here all know this. But the three things I did the most was I thought, why is it good for other people for us to get out of this line and into the new line? It's all made up, but there's some truth to it, you know, but I'm just making it up. Well, it makes the line go faster for all the people behind us. It's better for the airline, less stress in that line. That's just a better vibe for everyone. There was a couple others that we came up with and that we made up. Can you make any up? Like put something in the chat if you can think of why it's good for other people that we be in the shorter line. So I'm doing that as I'm walking over there and I'm visualizing. Number one, like manifestation action tool you can use. I'm imagining them saying, sure. And I wave over to my husband and I'm like, come on, you can come. Because I know he's not taking his eyes off me so that the moment I wave him over, he can come over. We are expecting it. We're planning on it working out for us. So I just was like, nice. And I asked her, hey, I don't, we're not here. But like, is there a better seat that we could get checked in this line? And she was like, well, we have a seat here, but it's not, first class. And I was like, well, can we check in our bags here? And she was like, oh, sure. And I was like, come over. Oh, also, I was imagining saying to her, thank you so much. So I'm infusing it with gratitude, visualizing me saying, come over, just the way I did it in real life when she said, sure, you can check your bags here. That's all we wanted. We didn't need the business class flight. We just wanted to like get out of that line. So I wave him over and the people behind him that he had been bonding with were like, you're leaving? And he was like, yeah. So what have we learned here? Why is it good for other people? Visualizing the outcome that you want and infuse it with gratitude. That will get you very, very far. Oh, and then we're walking away and I go, did you give her a credit card? And he's like, no, did you? And I'm like, no. So I'm pretty sure we got out of the line for free because they don't have our card on file. Okay. And now we're on the plane. We're heading to Paris. How the French treated us this time versus the last time. The last time we went mini golfing, we weren't expecting them to be, we weren't really expecting much. We just wanted to keep to ourselves and like, we don't need them to be nice to us, but we don't need them to be mean to us either. We're just trying to like have a vacation here. Like, so we went mini golfing and this kid said, how are you enjoying Paris? And we're like, oh, we love it. He goes, how are the people? And we were like, they're nice. And he goes, they're nice. And we laughed and we're like, well, they're not nice. They're tolerant. They're fine. They're not spitting on us or anything. And he was like, yeah, that's what I thought. So he lives there. This was the last time. So this time we were kind of expecting the same situation again. Just be tolerant that we're here. Let us come to your country and enjoy it. It was completely different this time. Beyond friendly. Like I went to City Pharma for all of these skincare products that I've been like researching on TikTok. And I was shocked at how friendly the people who work there were. Of course, they're at work, but not everybody's friendly just because they're at work. They were just like incredibly helpful. Reflections is all I can think of. I didn't feel insecure. I felt good. They were treating me good. And it really can just be like as easy as that. So then the other thing I did is like I kind of researched a little bit and I didn't know that I was researching it. I just found videos that said French people, and maybe it's like this in other countries. If anybody's traveled abroad, can you confirm or deny? They find it incredibly rude if you just go up to them and say, hi, can I get a butter croissant? Or do you know where the Louvre is? Instantly, you're like starting off on a bad foot. What they appreciate is when you say bonjour. So I told my husband, every single sentence, every time when you meet somebody, you start with bonjour. Just say it. Like, just try it. Just say it. Bonjour. We did that. And it was like, I don't know, it was like the magic key to Paris. Tell everybody bonjour. And then in their language, I asked, do you speak English? Parlez-vous English? And most of them would say, well, a little bit. And I'm like, if you can, like, your English is way better than my French. So can we just conduct this in English? So bonjour, parlez-vous English was literally like a magic key. So they were just straight up friendly. So did that make the difference? I mean, I think it helps, right? We always want to infuse the practical with the spiritual. All spiritual energy work, like, that's great. All strategy, great. They're both good. They both can work, but when you infuse the two together, it is magic. And I think you all get that. So those are the three things I made the difference. And yeah, that's it. That's all the points of the trip that I wanted to make. But what I really want you to get is that how you treat yourself is how other people treat you. So if you're getting reflections in your money area or your love area, where are you, how are you being? Do you feel like you're not chosen? I know people with love stuff, and a couple of you here are all wanting that. Even people on the replay that I know are going to watch this. When you want to be chosen in love, where are you not choosing yourself in the other areas of life? Yeah, I'll leave that at that. So I'm going to end this here, but I want you all to know, and then also those on the replay, bless your hearts if you're still watching, that I am remaking and relaunching Worthy and Wealthy as a group course, but I'm going to be infusing and I'm just making it completely brand new. It's going to be twice as long. It's going to be 4 months. You're welcome, Kristen. It's going to be 4 months now instead of 3. I'm going real heavy on the self-image. It's not even self-love, you guys, really. It's self-image work. Because I feel like it could be a lot heavier in that. I just know that, like, the course is heavy on the manifestation, and we kind of talk about the worthiness, self-love, self-image stuff in our one-on-one. But since I'm going to make it a group, that makes the price a lot lower for everyone involved. I want, like, everything in there that it can possibly be. And then you have it forever. You get updates. So people who were already in the course 2 years ago, they're going to get this update for free. So that is what's to come with Worthy and Wealthy. And if any of you, all of you here, have done one-on-one with me, if you want to work together some more, if we haven't worked together, you're on the replay and you're interested in, like, learning all of this stuff and being supported in this way in your self-image work, in your manifestations, in your belief in yourself, in your letting go of judgment and improving your self-image in all 8 areas of life, I would love to have you. And it is the lowest price that it will be between now and 10 days from now, which I believe is Saturday, the 19th. Also, anybody who signs up, whether you're a past client or new client, there's a group option and a VIP option. Everyone who signs up in the next 10 days will get a bonus, of an abundance breakthrough session with me. It's a $250 value. It's a 90-minute session. And we really, we do a lot of stuff. You will have a breakthrough. So this is all I have to say. Thank you, Leslie, Kristen, and Jenny, for staying the whole time and for interacting with me, for being here. This is a lot more fun to tell the story to you instead of, like, just to my computer. And I'm going to log off now. I love you, girls. And I will see pretty much all of you later this week. Okay. Good night.